Just want to shout out Queen Sophia for making this awesome avatar for me. She is so fun. She's been so supportive. She's listened to every single episode. Basically, the day that it comes out, we stand a supporting friend. And yeah, I called her out the first episode because she's like, drawing while listening to it. But it's all love. And honestly, the avatar that she drew me, beautiful. I can't believe that she just did this just cause. I think that's really, really pretty, honestly. And she said that she tried to draw me, which is so sweet, but it's definitely not me. She's like way prettier than I am. Anyway, I thought it's like such a nice drawing. Just want to shout her out. So, Sophia's very good at art. She does the drawing things. I don't really know how to describe it, but you see it on the screen right now. So pretty. Welcome back to my channel. I know that's very annoying. I'm currently recording this at 8 p.m. because I should be working. I really should be, but I just don't want to. And this is me pretending that I'm being productive, even though this like will not go anywhere, and it really isn't work. But I mean, at least my friend like listening to it. Actually, this is episode 4, so if you're listening to this and you are actually supporting me for episode 4, thank you so much. I appreciate it very much that you're here. You're you're a real one. I'm gonna try not to laugh as much. I heard it back while editing the first few times, and I was like, oh, it's okay. But I kind of find it annoying now. I mean, you probably don't care because it might just fly over your head while you're doing whatever activity. But it is quite annoying to hear, at least for me editing. So I want to get just right into it. I want to say that I've been really putting it all out there since the pod started. So much more honest, and I really don't care anymore. And I think that's coupled with the fact of like real talk, actually talking about the weather, how it's been so good, and you can feel the serotonin and dopamine levels rising among the youths, even if they wouldn't admit it. I mean, I know that Cammy was like saying, "Oh, I like when it rains," and it's actually been raining and sunny like every other day. It's been switching around, so it's like everybody has that like real feel good day. And um I honestly like I've been putting stuff on my story, and I was like, oh, I am being risque, not not in the traditional sense for like what people think that would be, but I put up like, wow, for the people who disliked my video, bruh, why? I mean, you could just leave, but yeah, make fun of your fellow classmate that was just doing something for fun, right? Oh, but that was the dislikes were specifically on the what's it called, the school videos, which even suckier, but like whatever. And that normally I would put that on my like close friend story or whatever, and I was like, wow, she's brave today, even though there's like nobody that watches my stories for real. Like, they're probably they probably do the same thing as me, where you just like skip through everything, and if you see something that catches your eye, and like, oh, I'll look at that, but it's probably not gonna be mine. I think this whole comfortability thing is probably because of well, I guess practice makes perfect. I've been doing this for 3 hours now, so you know, and I guess it makes it also easier to be honest. But now I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like running my mouth right now. I don't know who is gonna hear. I don't know what's gonna happen. I have to try to keep the filter on, even if I really just want to let the floodgates open and just say everything I'm thinking. But I can't do that. Can't do that. Mostly for reasons of well, people don't care, and also I mean, if it's something that would hurt them, I obviously wouldn't intentionally say it, but I think sometimes in the way that I deliver messages, it might come across that way. That's why I'm always trying to explain multiple times over what I mean in case they didn't understand it, they interpret it a certain way. Oh, and that's one of our topics today. So basically, I realized that, like, man, I really don't like being concise because I feel like I'm always going to forget something. And I often think about my conversations after they happen, that I didn't say everything that I should have said, or like I didn't say it in the way that made sense. And maybe they thought that I thought something differently, all that type of thing. Anyway, I'm learning to like cut out certain topics that I have like ideas for, and I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do that because I just want to talk about everything. But I realize that some things just aren't really interesting, and they won't be really great for the pod, and they'd be like really short topics that don't enlighten someone or don't make them have a better day or don't make them think or anything. Which I'm not trying to say that this is a professional podcast or anything. I'm not trying to. Wow, I realized I'm not really enunciating this episode. I'm gonna try to speak with the right enunciation. Um, so yeah, I know that this isn't a professional podcast or anything, but I still want you to, even if you're like drawing or doing something else, I want you to realize something or think about something every time I post. So I have to cut out some topics that I think aren't that interesting. At least for me, I feel like there are some topics that I talked about in past episodes that aren't that interesting, but they were interesting to me. So what do I know? I also wanted to just have a little thing saying I feel like I have so many projects, so many things that I'm having going on that are pretty creative that I don't think I used to do that much. And I mean, nothing against myself before, but I think that this is really good for me. It's like been an outlet, well, the podcast specifically, but all the that I didn't say at all. The podcast specifically, but also other things where I feel like I've really had my outlet to like let go of feelings that I've been having, and side note, while I'm recording this, I'm actually listening to a couple songs, and if you want to check it out, I don't know if you know it, but I saw it on Instagram, and I just added it to my podcast. So one of them is Brown Eyes, Brown Hair, and the other one is We Made It, and both of them are really good. Brown Eyes, Brown Hair is by Caleb Hearn, and the other one is by David Hugo, and I really like We Made It, actually. I think Brown Eyes, Brown Hair is like okay. I think I just like the type of a guitar, like raw thing or whatever. And yeah, there are two songs that I don't think you would know, but if you do, hey, we got that in common. It's like very small. And another one that's just, it's actually very popular. It's What's Up by Four Non Blondes. And it's pretty cool. What's going on? That's not the actual key it's sang in, but and another one is Patience. If you like not rap, it's actually singing the whole time, but it's like rap singing, it's Patience featuring Young Blood and Polo G. I know, who would have expected, who'd have thunk that I listen to rap music? I don't really, but I guess there's just always, sometimes there's just that one song, and it makes you vibe. Speaking of vibes, yeah, I'm trying to be that doing better segues, doing better segues and transitions between my topics because I don't want it to sound like a presentation. So then get to lose his breath speaking literally. I don't know if this is too close. Maybe I'm being too close. But anyway, so we were going out for ice cream today. Well, we were supposed to go for ice cream, but then like everybody got coffee, and I was like, wow, okay. So I'm the only one actually eating ice cream, but it's fine. You definitely didn't make me feel fat in that moment, but I'm kidding, obviously. I didn't like I used to feel this way actually, where like if other people were buying something, I was like, oh well, I have to buy the exact same thing. I remember I have a stark memory of like Kiani, me and May, and I think other people, but I can't remember who was there. We went to downtown for something. It was an activity with Smatsik, I think, and it was like, oh no, it was for art. We went to a Desjardins. Maybe I'm mixing up my memories, but we ran like really far into downtown because we were kind of, well, we were in downtown at first, and then we kind of ran into like Chinatown, and I had no idea where we were going, so I was kind of panicking. I was like, oh my gosh, we're not gonna make it back in time. They're gonna forget about us. We're gonna be stranded here, and I have no way of going home, even though I had a phone. Like it's, I don't know why I was freaking out so much. But we were going to get bubble tea, and Kanye bought like regular bubble tea with like 30% sugar or something, she said. And I was like, whoa, that is crazy. You can ask for less sugar? That's like, what? And I felt like I had to do the same thing as she did. For some reason, I bought the exact same thing she did. And that was, she had not peer pressured me at all to do what she was doing. I just felt like I had to. And that was like part of me being insecure about what I liked. And I was like, oh, well, if she does 30% sugar, then I can't do full sugar. That's just wrong. Which literally, who cares? I don't think she would have cared at all if I did that. But I mean, now I do 0% sugar because I was like, no sugar, no ice. I just want that black tea, milk, and boba pearls. Like, that's all I want. And that, I think it's also because I grew up, like, at the time, the 30% sugar was like, I was like, oh, I can't even taste the sweetness. Like, what's the point of this? But now I really like it just without sugar, too. So, a taste change. But I think she made me discover how much I liked regular bubble tea. Anyway, that was a positive experience overall. But I used to have these feelings of like uncertainty. I was like, oh, if they do this, then I have to do this, and it's peer pressure without like actually peer pressure. And so then, anyway, back to what I was saying. We were supposed to go for ice cream, and then we were like, oh, we should go to Kitty Glass. And turns out it's like, well, I don't know. It was open, but they decided not to. Something like that. I don't really remember. I don't care, really. But then we went to McDonald's. Marcel and Chanel, they went to Tim Hortons. Um, Anyway, everybody ended up getting ice caps or yeah, basically ice caps, and I got an ice cream, like a small what's it called, McFlurry, and it's because I always loved eating the McFlurry, but I I can't really finish it. So I it turns out they have a snack size McFlurry, which is so fun and cute. Like honestly, it's not a small amount of ice cream. It's like a decent amount because at Kitty Glass, not throwing shade or anything, but I mean it's pretty overpriced ice cream for like tiny amount. If you Because they have like an extra small, a small, medium, and a large. And I think for certain things they have an extra large even. So this is like a clothing size basically for their food. And so their ice cream, like the extra small, is just like one scoop. Like not even one scoop. What am I saying? Like not one ice cream scoop. Like those taste tester scoops. It's like that big of a scoop, and it's like it's basically just tasting it and it's gone. But the snack size McFlurry is actually a decent size, but it's like a smaller, you know. And I think this was a monumental moment for me, if you want to say that. I mean, I know it's really not that big of a deal. You're probably saying, Hannah, you went to eat ice cream. Like, what's the big deal? Like, that seems like a pretty no big deal type of thing. But for me, that was like a moment where I realized, hey, I'm doing good, man. Not doing good. It's just mentally in my head. I was. In the past, I think the podcast is also helping me because the more I talk about it, the less, like, the more ridiculous it sounds. And so I used to think that I couldn't be part of things because I was like intruding, and I have this huge imposter syndrome whenever I'm with people who aren't like the closest to me, and I think, oh my gosh, they don't want me here, and I'm like not adding anything to the conversation. I'm talking, or either I'm like not adding anything to the conversation, or I'm talking way too loud, and like I'm not even part of this friend group. What am I saying? That type of thing. And so in this situation, I thought I did really good. And even when, because we were an odd number of people, so on the sidewalk, it would always be like one person who was kind of alone, or doing that like sidewalk, walking on the grass type thing. And so at some points, I was like, I guess, the lonely person. And it honestly didn't like bother me because I realized, like, who cares? Who even cares if you're just walking? Like, nobody, and they probably won't remember, like, aha, Hannah the loner. um and I was like really glad and proud of myself for getting outside of my own head. Like, who cares if you go to ice cream with them, because there's a bunch of people that could have come too and I wouldn't have minded, so why would I think that they minded me particularly being there? I know that I think I haven't done anything to wrong the all of those people. And this actually happened, like, it's been a gradual thing, but I remember for like a specific thing, in class they were like, okay, pair up in groups of two, and there was like Chanel, May, and Kenny, that like all three of them paired up immediately, and it was like teams of two. And I guess I was kind of hurt that they didn't like see me. And I mean, that's unreasonable for me because I just flip-flop between like friend groups or whatever. And so I told May, because I feel like I'm the least scared of talking to May about this type of thing. Not that I was like scared of like Kiani, but I sometimes feel like Kiani's like the mom that scolds you for being like dumb or something. Not for being dumb, but like making thinking things too much. Um, and so I told May, and they were like, oh, okay, totally, we'll think about you next time. And it was so easy. Like, I don't think it made them weirded. I didn't think, well, in my head, I was like, oh, saying that will definitely weird them out. And like, Hannah, what are you doing? Why are you, why so dramatic? Why so random? Because in my head, I was like, oh, that's definitely, I'm being so dramatic. Like, what does it even matter? They don't care. Like, it to them, it wasn't anything different because I wasn't always participating with them, and yet I was supposed to expect. I was expecting them to just think of me just cause. Anyway, that made me think, and I was like, you know what? I should speak up when I feel like I'm being ignored or I want to be included, and that's what happened. And you know, we went to ice cream together. Well, we went to get ice caps and ice cream together, and I didn't feel uncomfortable at all, or basically not. I think also Marcel was there, so he kind of boosted my confidence. I was like, you know what? He's a social networker. He's always talking to everybody else. I can do it too, type of thing. Oh my gosh! If he hears this, you encourage me. You make me feel better, Marcel. I don't have another segue. That was like the best segue I had, and it really wasn't that great. So, I guess we're just gonna. Oh, I shouldn't do those noises either. I feel like that's very annoying, especially when you're hearing it. So I'm just gonna try to you know. Anyway, so I wrote this thing down, and oh my gosh, it's gonna sound so ridiculous. And basically, I forgot to mention the title of this video, well, this podcast is gonna be "Inside the Mind of an Overthinker." So it's gonna be a lot of the things that I overthink about that nobody really thinks. Well, other overthinkers know what I mean, but if you have a normal brain, this probably doesn't really go through your mind. But obviously, I'm like, okay, that's why I'm talking about it. I'm not. Even if I think about these things, I really am not really that struggling because sometimes I'll just force myself to do something that I'm scared to do because I'm like, oh, it's good for me. So it's it's a healthy amount of overthink. Well, it's not a healthy amount, but you get what I mean. Like even if I overthink a lot, I'm able to like make myself do things that I'm like, oh, well, they definitely don't want me to do that, and I'm like, Hannah, logically, that that's not true. So just do it, man. You come in with like with John Cena. He goes, "Oh, John, just do it." Sorry, I didn't enunciate that. I meant John Cena comes in. He goes, "Just do it." Ugh. Or you get one of those ads from Nike where it's like, "Suddenly, I wore Nike and my life changed. I am so happy, and it's Nike's clothing has cured my depression." So I realized that this wasn't a normal thing because, well, I don't know. I know that it's not normal because I used to not think this way, but it wasn't even over COVID. I think it was a long time ago that this started. But I remember when I first started texting on Instagram, I did not care how I said stuff. I was just like, and this is what I think, and blah, blah, blah. And usually, I remember when I first started Instagram, it was like with my friends, and we would go on the iPad. I would go on my iPad to text. And so when I first got a phone, I was like, oh, this is so small. How am I going to type? And, now I don't have an iPad. So, I remember the letters being huge though, so it really helped me learn how to type. And I remember, like, I don't remember any of my old conversations, and I wonder if I'd be able to bring up an old group chat that we had because those were fun. We would change the title of the name of the group chat all the time, and oh, that was funny. I remember being added to the group chat, and I would read like all of the messages. I used to be like such, I don't know, neurotic person. I would like read every single message that they had written. And I was like, now I'm caught up. And then every time that there'd be a conversation happening, and I wasn't there to like for the participation, I would read it. Like I was kind of a creep in a way. Like, I mean, these were my friends, but it was still weird. I feel like they didn't do that, but I definitely did that. And this was in group chats, okay, not private messages. I was just, whoa. But this thing is, the prompt is I wouldn't just write okay because I don't want to feel them to feel like how I feel. And this was while I was texting somebody else. I don't remember who. And they were just like, I don't know what we were talking about. Like I said, I cannot recall many things. I have short-term memory loss, if you want to call it that. I'm kidding. I don't actually have short-term memory loss. She says unknowingly that she actually has memory loss. I'm kidding. I actually don't know though, but I don't think so. And so I realized that sometimes when people write stuff, to me it sounds like passive aggressive, even though it's just like it's just a text message, and they probably meant exactly like they meant at face value what they were saying, and yet I'm like, oh my gosh, they were trying to say like they're annoyed at me because they said it like this, and it's like, oh no, definitely they were trying to tell me without telling me, right? And I'm like, nobody thinks about their text messages as much as you do, Hannah, because sometimes when I write something, I'm like, no, that's not right. I need to like clarify, I need to add onto, I need to change the words I'm using because it's not showing my intent. Um, I'm like writing an essay trying to write like 2 sentences to my friend. It takes like 20 minutes for me to answer. They're like, "Oh, what is she doing? What is going on?" She's I'm like just like typing for the next like 30 minutes. That doesn't actually happen. I do clarify a lot though. And so I remember mentioning this on episode 2, I think, or episode 3, where it was like, wow, I really appreciate how Lexi texted me, because Lexi always writes really detailed answers to what she's trying to say, and it's always, exactly how she feels. She doesn't hold anything back, and I think that's mostly why I like. It's not because it's a long message versus a short message. I don't think like you should put necessarily value over how your friends text, but it's just that she was able to like always say exactly what she meant, and it was never just an okay lol, or like a, I don't know, or she would never ignore like the messages I sent her, even if it's something that she didn't really know about. She's like, "Oh, I don't really know about that," or "I don't quite agree with that, but I'm kind of lazy right now," something like that. Although I'm not calling out anybody, but I am thinking about a certain person right now that like whenever I send a bunch of stuff, and they just the type of stuff that I give, that I output, versus the stuff that I get from the conversation sometimes is not equivalent. And you know well, this could be many people, but I feel like Kiani really matches my energy, where like whenever I'm texting her, I'm like, yes, energy matched. I, I don't know how to describe it. That's the only way I can describe it. Sometimes when I'm texting somebody, I also think about how, like, oh, maybe they think that this is going to be manipulative sounding. I'm not trying to be manipulative, never would be. But I almost said, like, a lot of the time I just say how I think, but I try to say it how I think it and really mean it, because I was texting Sylvia, I think, and she was like, um, I can't remember. It was I sent her the link to the first podcast, and I was like, you don't have to watch it if you don't care. But then I realized that kind of sounds manipulative, so I just switched it around. I was like, you don't have to watch it if you don't have time, or something like that, because in my mind, saying you don't care is like a very kind of a jerk move. Is like, oh, you don't care about me if you don't watch this, and I don't want people to feel like they have to listen to this. I want them to actually enjoy it, because I don't want people to just pity listen. I want them to enjoy the experience that they have, like listening to my thoughts and everything. So reading back my notes, I realized that I didn't say something, but I'm just gonna keep going for the next topic. Okay, I don't have a segue for this one either. I guess we're running out of segues. Yeah, running out after one. Real hard work. I mean, I do prep for these, but I don't really prep that much. I feel like I should work harder, but this is still fun for me, so I don't want to like make it into I guess that's the same thing for me with like the learning the guitar. It was just fun for me, and I didn't necessarily want to take classes to make it feel like almost like a job I had to do. And I mean, I probably would have improved a lot more if I took classes, but I was like, I don't know, man. I kind of want to just do it for fun, and uh, I guess you don't always have to improve, but I guess in our culture, you have to improve on everything you do, because what are you doing? Like, you're wasting your time doing stuff that you're not good at, and when you could very clearly get better at it, That's my thought. So this section is going to be basically just like an amalgamation of my thoughts. I don't think that there's really a current theme for this section, but it's more just uh, I called it an amalgamation of random thoughts. I feel like every episode has one of these, or it's just like, I don't know what I'm saying, but this is a bunch of thoughts that I thought about that really aren't one topic in general, but they kind of are interesting tidbits. I feel like the fin ouverte for the last one. It wasn't a fully formed fledged thought, which I probably should have done, but it was something. Like, I think it was something to think about. So the first one is about McDonald's that I was talking about earlier. I used to never buy stuff, and I mean, this year I spent like I mean, it's not a lot of money, but it it's a lot of money for me, because I feel like I'm just I don't know. I have a weird thing about money, where I think that if I spend money, the floodgates will open, and suddenly I'll be a serial spender or something, which has never been me. But if I didn't have approval of my parents all the time for everything I did, that I was like scared that I would just lose control and just buy everything that I wanted, which I think I have pretty strong self-control, so I don't know where that thought came from. But yeah, I remember from school I never bought anything food, and mostly because it's expensive. But like, food is expensive everywhere now, so it's not really an excuse. But I never bought anything from school, like ever, food wise. I had to buy their uniform. I had to pay for my tuition. Well, not me, but my parents. And I guess I think I bought like a cinnamon bun in Sec One, but from the big calf or the CJEP calf, never got anything at all. And so I kind of wore that as a badge of honor inside. Like I never told anyone, but I was like, well, I'm not like them. I'm not wasting money. And I mean, it's subjective. Like maybe you think that's wasting money, but like I'm talking to like narrow-minded Hannah right now. Maybe that's wasting money in your mind, but like they have their own life, and you shouldn't like judge them for the food choices they make. Although I really heavily judge like I remember Cami bought $5 grapes, like grapes and a little bit of cheese or something for $5, and I was like, that is $5. You know how much food you could get for $5 as a meal? Like, I was so disappointed, and now I'm like, you know what? Let her do whatever she wants. Like, it's not my money. Why should I care so much? Which is something that I did a lot. Like, I cared way too much about stuff that was like other people. Like, like, why should I occupy my brain? What was that thing, that TikTok? It was like, why am I letting them live in my head rent free when something, can't remember, can't finish the thought, but you get the idea. And yeah, so that was the first little thing. The other thing was I talk about my dreams a lot, like just in my head, but wow, I sound like a psychopath. Like I'm not trying to mischaracterize psychopaths. They do think a lot in their minds, but that's because most of them are narcissists, so they don't think that like well they, anyway, I really don't want to mischaracterize psychopaths, because they're not actually not all bad people. Like some of them, they're just born that way, and their brain is kind of different from ours. They're not uh I think they have like much muted emotions, and they can't feel fear or something. I saw that from an interview, so don't quote me on this, but they just have different brain functions, and like that doesn't mean that they're all evil, because I feel like a lot of the films that we see are psychopaths or sociopaths just killing everybody that they see just cuz, and that's really not most of them. I think that they're able to assimilate in the general population by just learning mannerisms from other people. Anyway, that's just a tangent that I didn't even think I was going to go on about. But what I was actually trying to say is that I I went to see Hobitai, and I talked about one of my dreams, uh, the one where I had like demons everywhere, and I was wearing a trap soul on as a bracelet. Really lighthearted, kind stuff. And basically, she was like, "Oh, well, you recently talked about how you might feel trapped in your house, and it's like a representation of you trapping yourself, almost, blah blah." And I don't know why, but that, like, I didn't necessarily enjoy her trying to décortiquer or like analyze or interpret what my dreams meant, because I guess they're like so personal to me, even though I share them. And I don't know. I mean, there's nothing wrong in trying to interpret dreams. So I don't know why had like such a visceral reaction. She didn't notice because I was wearing my mask, but it was just like, I mean, why wouldn't I want to know what they meant? But I feel like dreams can have so much meaning in multiple interpretations, and only God knows what the dreams mean. But you know, uh, and sometimes our subconscious brings a bunch of stuff together that doesn't really make sense, like and it could just, it doesn't always have to mean something really deep. I think I want to keep the mystery around it. I don't know why. It's probably something, but I can't really I'm not the best at analyzing my own pattern or behaviors. So then yeah, and I also really want to find somebody who can like art my dreams, because I swear they're very, like, I can remember how they look, but I just can't, like, sometimes even describing it is really hard, because it was just like, there was this one dream where I was flying, and there was this palace, and it was kind of a school too, because it was our school, but also like it was a big palace type thing, and there were like really tall trees, and when we sat on one of the branches on the really tall tree, we could see the skyline, and it was beautiful. And I'm not able to describe it, but I can see it in my mind right now. And I wish you could. I say this a lot of the time, but I wish we could like watch our dreams like the way that we saw it. But since it's, I mean, I don't know if that's a technology that's being developed, but I'm pretty sure that since it's just a bunch of synapses like uh, talking to each other, these are just what our mind interprets as images, because our eyes interpret, our eyes aren't actually like, because vision is like, how do I describe this? I don't want to I don't want to say the wrong thing, but I know that like seeing is just a, like images are really stuff that like we see, but we don't really see, because other animals have different vision. They can see ultraviolet, or like UV is ultraviolet. Oh my gosh. But they can see different stuff. Like some animals can see black and white. Some animals can see like very reddish tones or something like that. So it just depends, I guess. And so I wish we could see them though. If we could watch it back, and then I could like draw, I could copy from my own brain, be like, that's really cool. Because I've really wanted to kind of uh, explore drawing. I'm definitely not experienced. Like, don't ask me to draw anything, but I want to try. I want to learn, and I feel like coming from my dreams, it would be interesting. Is that a narcissistic thing? I hope it's not, but it's just like, a lot of my dreams, I find it so interesting, and I wish I could just remember it better enough to like search it up, but it's just like images in my mind that I remember vaguely, but I just man, if anybody ever makes dream machine interpret thing that you can like watch it back or something, I'd love that. uh to my fellow smatsikers, if you ever grow up to make that kind of machine, like put me in it. I don't care, maybe I sacrifice a year of my life. I'm kidding about that. But I would really want to experience that, but I don't know if it's feasible, like if it's, because I'm guessing it's just like a bunch of things in your brain, right? And I don't know if that's, you're able to translate that into images for real. That's not in your mind, and that, would they even be the same thing, right? Because like a computer reading your brain signals versus your own brain, like everyone has a unique brain, right? And I don't know. I don't know. And that's my random rant. Also, I know I totally teased like this a tales of my childhood type of episode for last time, but I just wanted to get a couple things off my chest. Just had to get it out there first, and I will definitely be getting to that. But I feel like it might take a lot of emotional strength for me to go through that. Not that there was anything particularly traumatizing. I think that sometimes when I force myself to relive the past, I get quite angry. I don't know why. I think it's at myself for the time, for how I acted, for how immature I was, but also because some of the people in my life were just like, man, I can't believe that I was friends with them, type of thing. Um, Obviously, as a Christian, I'm supposed to love everyone, but just because I love everyone doesn't mean I have to be like that close with them all the time, Well, I mean, that's what I think. Because you can show love, but you don't necessarily have to like them. I think that's something that Anna said. Obviously, I don't know where it's originally from, but it makes a lot of sense. You don't have to like them; you just have to love them. Which, by the way, why is it so abnormal to say that you love someone? Why does it always have to be a romantic thing? Like, even if I say it to my friends, they're like, "Oh, okay, cool." Not that they have to reciprocate or anything, but it's like, let's normalize saying that you love people, because it's important to say that you appreciate them while they're here, right? Because you never know when they can leave and when they're gone. Also, I'm sorry for the background noise. I definitely know that you can hear my parents talking on like Bible study, but I'm just gonna record whenever I want, and you get tiny little Chinese tidbits. If you can hear over my voice, then definitely let me know. It'll be funny to see. I mean, I'm sorry that it's so janky. This podcast is so janky, man. Actually, my brother, when I told him that I was using his mic for the podcast because I haven't given it back in like 6 days, he was like, "Wow, you're so lonely." And I was like, "Really? That's news to me." Really, I didn't think that I was lonely. That's why I started this podcast, because I'm so not lonely. I'm just, I mean, it didn't hurt me. It was just like, yeah, it's COVID and you can't see people. I mean, we're gradually being able to see people again, but like, even if I see people, I'm not going to talk about this type of thing for so long. And, like, I'm only going to talk about it. And, people who want to hear it will hear it and they'll listen to it. And, because, I mean, who has an hour of time just to listen to me ramble every couple of days? Because right now, I thought I would be uploading once a week, but I just have so many things to say. So I think the first, maybe like 7 episodes will be just like me constantly uploading every other day or something like that. Well, don't think it's a schedule or anything because I'm just doing it when I can. But yeah, I'm sorry. I'm currently editing and I realized I definitely did not know what their actual nationality was. So I'm just gonna tell you that it's Ukrainian. I'd say that they're Portuguese slash Brazilian, but they're not. Definitely not because I literally just checked the video again and they're for sure Ukrainian. So I don't know where I got the idea from. That I don't know, man. I think my brain was like poo brain or something, but they're Ukrainian. Okay, that's all. That's all I wanted to say. So I didn't know that you guys were interested in the tea, the drama, because I just texted May and turns out she liked the whole summarizing drama thing. I thought that I was the only one interested. I just had to put it out there because I was like, oh, this is ridiculous. And I guess it's kind of weird if you talk about the drama of the people in your life because I know that I mentioned that like Marcel told me all the tea or whatever, and it's definitely interesting, but those are like people's personal lives and this is all public record. Like the drama I'm talking about is all public, so I guess it makes it like more okay. I don't know, I guess these are also the people's personal lives, but if they post videos about it, it's like, is it that personal anymore? uh, I think that once you sign up for this type of thing, like if you make videos or I guess if you make music or any type of thing that you're showing something that you're actively creating, then you have to be ready to like receive that judgment and that constructive criticism or just criticism in general because sometimes you do stuff like essay and you enable R words, like why would you even, anyway. So since somebody at least likes it, I wanted to go over like a very short little tidbit drama thing because there's not always like huge dramas like that, but I want you to keep your little taste buds of drama sufficed because I know in our class especially there's really no drama. Well, it wouldn't be fun to watch like from what I heard it's not fun like on either side when you're going through something like very drama filled, especially since it's high school. Everything is like dramatized to the max where it's like, oh, you started being friends with that person, well I can't be friends with you anymore, how horrible of you, blah blah blah, that type of thing. So now I'm going to talk about a little tea of well, it's not tea because it's bad, but So basically, I think these are Portuguese. Oh no, it might be Brazilian influencers on Instagram, child influencers. Which this is from I got this news from Creepshow Art, but Ready to Glare also covered it. So, by the way, both of their accounts are very good for YouTube. Ready to Glare and Creepshow Art kind of cover the same type of things, where it's like really messed up stuff that influencers slash YouTubers slash creators in general that do, and so yeah. Oh, definitely. If you know about David Dobrik thing, I'm definitely not the first person to cover it, and I'm definitely not the most famous person to. I'm probably the least famous person to ever cover it, but I just wanted to talk about it. And so this is about two child influencers, one 8-year-old and one 13-year-old, who are now in a public relationship together. Yes, you heard that right. An 8-year-old and a 13-year-old. Like, I know that they're both young, and that's like basically the consensus. That's just they're very much too young to be on Instagram and becoming influencers and becoming like breadwinners for their family. There seems to be like a something that's definitely wrong because children can't consent to doing this type of thing, especially not young children like that. I would say that I have some level of consent to like making these videos because I decided to make them. I wasn't like forced into it because my parents wanted me to make money so that they can like live their lives. And so they're in a public relationship together. And Creepshow Art brought this up where it's like, it's just, I mean, you can't date someone who's like, how old she is about how long you it's been since you were her age when they're that young, because 8 and 13 might not seem like that big of a difference, but it's 5 years. And if you want to put it into context, a 13-year-old would be going to Sec 2, um, and an 8-year-old would be going to third grade. So, yeah, if they were going to school, because it doesn't really it's not really clear if they're going to school right now or just being influencers for their parents. And and obviously not to blame like the 8 or 13 year olds, because they don't really understand what like relationships are or anything. It's just like people think that the parents kind of got together and were like, okay, we're gonna make them date, and they're gonna like benefit each other, because I think the guy has 50,000 followers whilst the girl has 300,000 followers on Instagram, and so they probably wanted to like collab, basically the parents, obviously, because the kids, I don't think the kids can really quite grasp what that means, especially the 8-year-old. I mean, she's a very young child, and I can't believe parents would actually say, "Oh, that's fine. It's fine." My child, who hasn't even like learned to write fully, can totally just get an Instagram. Well, not that I've learned to totally write, but and be a public influencer, because I feel like when you're that young, you don't know what you're really doing. You just kind of understand, but you really don't know. And also, part of the article was talking about how the parents were trying to put them in provocative like photos, and it's like so wrong. They're children. Like, why would you make them do explicit things? They weren't done explicit things, but make them look like they were doing explicit things, and so it's mind-boggling, because literally these are children, and you know who they attract? Predators, pedophiles. All of these people know each other. Like, if you make I saw a video where this YouTuber made a fake account for a child, where she just edited herself with like a baby filter or something, and she made herself look like really young, and obviously she was an adult, so it's like she's catfishing herself. Like, I think it's right. It's okay, because like she's stealing her own identity, so it's like, anyway. So then immediately, I think she said, like, after a couple hours, she had started gaining so many followers, and creeps, these were like old perverts, literally subscribing, or like, I don't know what platform she did this, but I mean, that's disgusting. You know exactly what they're there for, right? Because in a lot of family channels, they're highly criticized for benefiting that their kids are cute, and the family channels, like the videos that they do are not appropriate for children, and yet, like, who is your audience, right? You're targeting children because you have children in them, but also, like, are you targeting pedophiles? Because if okay, I'm gonna go back to the 8 and the 13-year-old. um like, are they targeting pedophiles? Because clearly, with the provocative photos, you think that that's what they're doing, and that's so wrong. Like, how could you think that, like, saying, "Hey, pedophiles, look here, I have two young children, right for you to like," it's gross, it's disgusting. And that's like and a main critique of the family channels is that they're attracting pedophiles, because they that was like a whole adpocalypse thing, because the ads that they get, like, the family channels make a lot of bank off of their kids, like a lot of money. If you think about the Ace family, or eight passengers, or like, I can't think. Oh, Micah Stauffer, man, I could talk about her all day. Hold on, I'll write that down. So yeah, now that I'm back, basically, there's just a lot of things about consent, and how children don't really know how to say that they don't want to do something, and they probably don't understand what the internet is either when they're that young. A lot of these kids on family channels in general, I mean, they're like, they're not even teenagers yet, so like, I don't think that part of their brain has developed to the part where they understand how big the internet is, and what a huge influence they probably have on doing on a lot of things. And I guess I'll talk about family vloggers in the next thing, because it seems like I hadn't thought about it, but it's pretty important anyway. And so, something that Ready to Glare brought up is Murphy's Law, which is, if anything that can go wrong will go wrong. And that's actually, there's a TV show called Milo Murphy's Law, because he's like a descendant of a Murphy or something, and it's Phineas and Ferb adjacent, so they kind of had a collab, and they're in the same universe type of thing. And yeah, basically, it's about how his life every single day goes wrong, like completely, all the time. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. So I think that's what's gonna happen for these kids because they're so young, and I mean, I know I'm 15 and one of them is 13 and I'm like releasing a video, but like this is all of my own accord, right? If I ever wanted to like take it off, I could, but I don't think these kids really can decide to like delete the videos or posts that they've had, like if it's still making their parents bank, And since this isn't making me any money, it's like I'm doing it because I want to. And so then it's like I feel like a lot of the things that can happen will happen. Like it's definitely not a good situation. Like think of all the predators and like the pedophiles. It's not a cute look for these parents, man. I wish that the Brazilian police or something. I don't know if it's actually in Brazil. I think it is though, because they were talking in Portuguese. I'm pretty sure, and it wasn't in Europe, so that's what I assume. And I hope the police try to get involved because I know a lot of people have been reporting the account, but I don't think that's enough because the parents will just find another way to like make an account. It'll never end. Um, yeah, and man, I guess my next set of things is still me overthinking and just a bunch of random stuff, guess, still. Because I don't know. I guess this episode is really just a bunch of random thoughts. I guess I'll have to title two different parts amalgamation of thoughts, or maybe the next one, this one I'll title culmination of thoughts for the timestamps I mean, for those who are wondering. So, the first thing is Corpse. If you don't know him, he's the guy on YouTube that's known for his like very deep voice, and he's faceless YouTuber. That's why everyone's like so fascinated about his voice because it's like so deep and that type of thing. Anyway, that's basically his shtick, but like he does other stuff. He got famous playing Among Us with like PewDiePie's Jacksepticeye. Saikuno also got famous, kind of. Well, I mean, he already was kind of famous, but like now he really blew up. So anyway, he has music, right? And it's such a vibe. Like the vibes you get from it, especially his like hype, like Daywalker featuring MGK. Man, that one really like puts you in a mood, and it makes me feel like it gets me into this alter ego personality where or I guess like a persona of myself where I'm like super confident, and whenever I hear the song I just like sing along, and it's honestly what a vibe. And it actually inspired me to just go for it and do whatever I want and wear a very I guess for me it's out there, but it's not that out there for a youth group. It's an outfit, and I think it's pretty out there for me because I mix multiple colors, Whoa. Having color definitely could not be me, but I did it and I honestly really liked it. And I'm thinking to try to really go out of my comfort zone and do this, wear the things that I want to wear, even if I think that it doesn't look good. Because oh man, that's another thing. I recently Cheryl sent me a photo of the new WFSU website and she sent me the link to directly to the youth group section, and man, it was a picture from 2018, and I'll talk about it more for the next episode or in some other episode. But I was wearing this shirt where I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I wore that. That looks so ugly. And the photo from it, I kind of look good in it. So it's like, wow, the perspective, because it's from like what 2 or 3 years ago now, and at the time, I was like, oh, I should wear it. I really like it. And then a year later, I was like, ew, I can't believe I wore that. That's like such a weird shirt. But it's like, it's just clothes. It doesn't even matter if you look good or bad in it. I just thought it was like, oh my gosh, I'm so embarrassed that I wore that. And then I was like, wait, but like kind of looked cute on me before. I don't know if it fits anymore because your girl kind of gained a few lbs. But anyway, I think that like really puts things in perspective. Things can be like so ugly on you at first, and that you think that it looks so ugly, and other people are like, whoa, it's so good, it's so cute, and that type of thing. So that's my first little tidbit. The next one is about studying. We. I think that I'm getting better at studying. Like it's probably not very good compared to other people. I know Emma, the number one in sec 2 best grade average ever. I still remember it. 95.1% grade average icon. Just literally an icon. I was so jealous of her for so long. I was like, oh my gosh, how did she do it? And it's called dedication. It's called working. It's called organization or whatever. Anyway, so then uh, I'm not as organized as her. She's like really on it, but I feel like I've been better at like studying in advance, which in advance for me is like probably 3 days in advance, but that's like really in advance for me, for real. Um, and it's because it's always worked for me to study the night before, but I know I need to start practicing studying in advance because it's like it will not always work for me. You know, it will not. I will sometimes forget where like for the for the first history exam we had, I literally forgot that there was an exam and I didn't study at all for it, and I didn't fail it. So I was like, do I even, you know? But I realized that you got to do it. Take some responsibility. That type of thing. Well, I'm really going through these real quick, huh? So, the next one is clothing. And I feel like I always read this in books where it's like, and then he handed me his sweatshirt. It smelled like him, oak, and something. There's always some kind of wood that they mention. It's like, oh, it smells like him. And it's like, okay, I feel like in real life, you never know what things smell like. Like something can smell like a person, but do you really know how to determine? It smells like lemon and a hint of vanilla. Just oh wow, it really reminds me of them. It's like I don't think anybody knows that. Like, does anybody know smells that well to identify exactly what somebody smells like? Like, unless you're a dog, I don't think that's really possible. Because they have better noses than us. And so I wanted to talk about how like we have an emotional attachment to clothes to people that like it belonged to. Like this, I was wearing this T-shirt yesterday, and it was from my friend Olivia, and we kind of she actually was just gonna borrow like lend me it. It was at her birthday party because I forgot to bring a change of clothes, and she lent me her shirt, and I was like, oh wow, this is so cute, I love it, and I think it's just a T-shirt, but it just reminded me of her and that moment and that memory, and I never gave it back. And I feel like that's how a lot of things go. Once you give a piece of clothing to your friends or your significant other, it just you're never gonna see it again. It's just the fact of the matter. And it also reminded me of that one time in Momo got sick where Lilia gave me her T-shirt, which was a really cool T-shirt too. And I was like, oh, it smells like you, and just passing by, and then when I gave it back to her a couple days later because I was wearing it, right? And then we washed it, and then I brought it to school, gave it to her. She was like, I guess a couple weeks later, she told me, when you first gave it to me, it also smelled like you because your scent like travels through your clothes, like it's obvious. Your body has a certain smell, and then like it transferred to your clothes because you're like wearing them, right? It makes a lot of sense. But for some reason, I was like, wait, am I stinky? Like I know that we make the joke, haha, I'm so stinky, but like are we stinky? Like what is our smell? How do we know if we smell bad? Because I actually like smelt my clothes a couple of times, and I was like, I can't smell it because you're so used to your own smell, so you're not able to determine. Because the reason why we smell other people from like them wearing our clothes or stuff like that, it was like it's hard to. Sorry for that distraction. It was my mother complaining about me talking too much, and this is why I'm recording this video, even though it's basically exactly what she said I was doing. But it is what it is. It is what it is. And basically, what am I saying? What am I saying? Um, I think that it's like when you smell somebody else on your clothing or on in their house because it's a smell that you're not used to, so that's how you like recognize it. But how do you recognize your own smell? Like how would I know if I was stinky if nobody ever told me? I guess this is part of the inside of an overthinker mind type of thing, because it's like who thinks about these types of things? Who goes down this path of line of thinking and was like, am I stinky? And that's how you end the thought. Like I don't know, man. So my last little rambly thought before I get on to the music is pretty short. It's actually just about how I'm always texting first, and I don't know if that's a bad thing. I don't know if I'm just putting too much into my relationships, or if I just always have to talk to people and I don't wait for them to text me. Not that it seems like a bit toxic to just wait for somebody to text you instead of just asking them a question if you want to ask them, but it's more just like I feel like all of my quote unquote friends that I have, I always text them first. Like I always initiate, and I don't know if that's because I have like too much free time, which is probably the true one, but or if they just don't think about me or they don't care to like make the effort, you know? Because I know that a lot of the people that I think are my friends that I like think because I think because I've just been burned so many times. That's just my coping mechanism, just to convince myself that I'm fine. Um, anyway, it's just like a bunch of my friends. I'm like, because my friend was talking to me, he was like, "Oh, this person really does miss you," and I was like, "Well, if they miss me, why didn't they ever talk to me? You know, I always initiate the conversation. If they miss me so much, then what's stopping them, you know? And maybe it's them overthinking too, just like I'm overthinking. But I think if you want to talk to somebody, then you should. Or if you're thinking about them, or if you want to write something, then just do it, you know? There's nothing stopping you. And why am I always starting the conversation? Which I mean, I really don't care that much, but I'm just trying to explain what my thinking is. This is the episode of the overthinker, and this is basically what I'm thinking. It's like, well, you didn't text me first, so it's like, do you even care? And if you're replying very dryly, like I'm carrying the conversation, so what are you even like? I feel like I'm having a one-sided relationship. I'm the whole relationship actually. I am like, I know obviously I'm exaggerating. It's not always like this. It's just like, uh, also a certain person, Solomon. I was like, I'm pretty sure that they have like, well, I'm pretty sure. I'm just speculating. It's not true. It probably isn't, but if it is, then I'm such a genius and very humble. Um so like I feel like they all watch it and they like roast me or something because how else my first podcast now has 43 views, which is like wild to me. And it's just like I don't even know where it came from. I don't think I have that many friends. And obviously, like I said, it's probably a lot of the views are just me checking to see like an editing and that type of thing and accidentally clicking on it. But still, that's not like a lot of people. That's a decent 15 people, I would say, that like actually listen to it. Um, and so I'm just like, did he not talk to, because he didn't answer what I when I asked him like what he thought. He literally just said like, oh, you changed the title, and that was it. I thought he would have commented more. Like he usually says a lot about a ton of things. So I have a feeling that he doesn't like it and he didn't want to say to hurt my feelings. But now it hurts my feelings even more that he doesn't think that he can be honest with me. But obviously this is all me overthinking because like maybe he didn't even watch it and he just, it's not his, like podcasts aren't his thing. But I just assumed that he would. You know, like that's why I'm such like a weird person because on one end I'm like, oh, I want people to like my stuff and to listen to it because they want to listen to it, not because they feel like they're forced to. But on the other hand, I'm also like, I'm your friend. You should support my what I did, at least the first one, right? And yeah, conflicting thoughts in both in my mind at the same time because I want you to appreciate what I do, but I also want you to support me, if that makes sense. I'm not expecting somebody to just shout out like my podcast, like, go check out Hannah's podcast right now. Go check it out right now. But if somebody did it, I honestly, I guess I would like it. I'm such a weird person. I know. I'm like bipolar, literally all the time. And I think that's part of being an overthinker, where it's just like, I want this, but I also want this. I want that. You know? We might finish just about before the 1 hour mark, so that's pretty cool. I just wanted to mention that I just talked to Kiani, and she told me that she really liked me singing in episode 3, and I was like, wow, I feel so validated. My confidence just went like stonks, and I don't know, hearing her say that she genuinely liked it was, oh my gosh, it just like, oh, my heart, it hurt. And if you've seen it from if you've seen the 90 Day Fiance thing where oh man, Rose is such an icon. Anyway, it just, I don't know, I haven't received a compliment that I really like wanted. I guess I really, it's like a breath you've been holding in for so long. I wanted someone to say that I sounded good because I don't know, it's wrong to seek validation out of other people, but then again, it just feels good to like know that somebody actually did like it, even though I know that it's like it should just be me enjoying myself and doing it. But oh man, when she said that, I was like, oh, you really liked it? You thought it was good? Ah. Anyway, yeah. You probably don't care, but I just wanted to explain that this song is called "What a Time" and it's by Julia Michaels and Niall Horan, I think. And basically, I really relate to this song, not really in the romantic sense of the that they're going for, because I feel like every song is about like relationships that you've had, but I do really reminisce the time before 2020 and before COVID, and so this is like me thinking about you guys in general, just missing the times that we had, and I said it a lot, like walking home from school the other day, like what a time, what a time. Anyway, yeah.